Hey ladies and gentlemen, what's up Crypto Universe? This is Eugene Tay. You're watching Rock the Block Live. And you know I always mention to you that Wanchain is a good friend of ours and they have been very supportive of our show. And here I have right here in the studio, Jack Liu himself, founder of Wanchain. Jack, thank you so much for all the support you have given us.
Certainly.
And in fact, I think we started off discussion just late last year, December. And since then, I've seen you many times and we've been great friends over the years. And I'm very proud to say I'm now part of the Wanchain team, and seeing how you guys have developed yourself makes me really happy. Also right now we are seeing the market performing very badly. All the hype from last year, the great projects that were coming out, now everything seems to be sluggish and the sentiment is very negative in the market. But Wanchain isn't really affected by all that, is it?
Well, a lot of people are saying that it's the best time for us to be heads down and get our product out, right? And our engineering team and the business team, they're working very, very hard, right? And continue to deliver. I think that's most important to separate us from many other projects.
Also, when we look at Wanchain and how it has developed over time, you put your roadmap down and you launched 2.0 in May. That was like the worst time anyone could launch anything. And then now when Ethereum is at its all-time low and everyone's getting panicky, you came up with Bitcoin and Ethereum crossover ahead of schedule. How is it like behind the scenes for people who don't really know you or the team working? Because I know you've been really hardworking and everyone's so diligent in it. Can you share some behind the scenes info?
Well, some of us in the team have experienced in the last crash in 2013 and 14. At that time was working on Factum, right? Leading the technical team there. And it's a rule that internally we don't talk about coin price. At least in the workplace we don't talk about it. And at the end, came out strong. That's the most important, right? So behind the scene, the team just working very hard. We have our product roadmap very clearly internally and modularize everything. And I think the team just working very hard, and we of course continue to enhance. And also we also have a R&D team doing research. What's ahead and what's key technology we should have, right? And also we're going now to all these technical conferences and interact with all the other important projects, and also including the universities and the cryptography industries and all of that. We just want to have better relationship and also stay ahead of the game, get the best knowledge as we can.
So again, this is something that I've always been saying on the screen as well. You got to look at the projects that you do as work. It's just business as usual. You should not see the hype. In the traditional business, you don't talk about when you're going to buy a Lambo, when you're going to make the 10 million. You just work hard, day after day, hit your milestones, do what's right. So that's your philosophy.
I think when I did the roadshow since last year, I keep telling the audience, saying, well, we are a long-term project. You got to give us some time, for any project to be developed, it takes some time, right? And for the community to accept us and believe us, it also takes time, right? It won't happen overnight. At least right, a couple of years, right? And in the during the this journey, of course, we'll hit bumps, right? And I gave warning even before our coin was launched, right? So I think everybody is with me. This is we are aiming for the long-term success, right? And I strongly believe that we will be a top project in the industry, right? And basically, I'm not looking at the short term, and I think teams not looking at short term, right? We're trying to set everything up for the long-term success.
And I believe the community who's supporting Wanchain as well, they know this is not a short-term thing, and everyone has been rooting for it. Myself, the people. In fact, the reason why we even started talking was because I'm such a huge fan of the idea. Personally, when we talked about before, I said you have all these projects building on different ecosystems, but yet no one is talking about how these are all going to interface, because what you're going to get at the end of the day is like iOS and Android, where now you have to create 2 different solutions on 2 different platforms just to reach out to the masses. But what you are doing is creating that channel where 2 different projects can just talk to each other seamlessly, and no one needs to know what goes on behind the scenes. Now, that being said, many fans out there and the community at large have also compared Wanchain with Icon and Ion, and it's very difficult to talk about cross-chain and not talk about these 3 projects that constantly comes up in conversation. And each of these 3 projects have their very strong fan base. Now, on one hand, we look at it as the Trinity. We talked about that in the review, and it's very difficult to say one is better than the other, because it seems as though the message that is communicated to us, it's the 3 of them are working together. Is there anything that is coming up soon with this sort of Trinity collaboration?
I think the idea started last year, right? And when 3 projects got together, we are working on something similar, and we decided to join, create this organization to share idea and help each other, right? I think it makes perfect sense, and everybody's on board, right? And actually, early this year in March, we brought both of the teams from Korea and from Canada into China, into Hangzhou, and we have a great summit and a great discussion. And also in May, or in a consensus in New York, and the team got together again, right? And after that, we have some offline discussions and here and there for different teams. We still help each other, right, and making progress. But most importantly, the agreement was we need to get our own network done, right? And then we connect with each other, right? And then we can come up with the future standards. I think the standards for like TCP/IP might be a while, right? A lot of projects are working on this, and we are aiming for that, and we have a lot of internal discussions in terms how to come up with a future standards. And we have been working with the government bodies and also international bodies about the standardization. I think we are preparing, get us ready. But that's in the long horizon, right? But right now, we all need to get our own technology out and get it implemented, and then we can talk about next thing.
Now, the next question I have for you might seem a little bit sensitive, but it's to address the elephant in the room. There's also people who say that looking at all the 3 projects, they seem to be working together, but hey, at the end of the day, there are 3 similar projects. There might be a case where one will dominate and then become the major rival. What's your take on that? Any comments that might even be a possibility years from now?
I think it is possible, but it won't be for a while. An important thing is we thought about this for a long time. We are in a different time zone, different region. Right? All of us can get our network or smaller network up first, and then we can build bridges to Ethereum, excuse me, to Bitcoin, and for the river you can have multiple bridges, right?
That's true.
And maybe one bridge is not enough, right? And a lot of times we want to build tunnel right under the river. So we have many paths, right? And even though that we have multiple bridges even in the same city, it's not enough, right? And whether we need to have a standardization, that's totally up to us or for the industry to decide, right? One good thing is we are open source community, right? So and at the same time, the most important thing is really the network effect, right? Who are using your bridge? Then you can take a little bit toll or make it free, right? That's totally up to us. So at the end, would that be winner takes all, like an internet world? Personally, I don't see that, right? But it would be likely that one standard takes everything, right? And everybody follow the standards. And once we have a standards, it's possible that we have our own network and we create another adapter or wrapper outside of it and make sure that everybody can connect with each other. So maybe that's how I see it.
I love that vision. That's really in line with what I see the community as well. Unlike people who talk about competition, rivalry, really come from the place of very traditional business. They're a very small pond where the winner takes all because there's scarcity and not enough, and everyone wants to be the big dog. But I see this in a blockchain scene, like what you just nicely mentioned. It's not about one company being top, it's about the standard, setting the standard and everyone following the standard. And because it's so big, it's not talking about just one small geographic location. You have 3 different companies coming in, working together, part of the bigger standard, forming bridges, tunnel, coming out with stuff that you probably have not even think of right now.
Right, sure.
So for you guys asking that question, I hope this answers that very well. What happens in the future, we don't know, but likely looking at how blockchain culture is, it's going to be more collaboration than fighting, because that kills everything, even for users. Now, speaking of organic growth and stuff that you didn't expect. So I was talking to the team, talking to Brian and Mark. A lot of stuff that you came up with this year as a team, like One Labs. All these were not planned. These are improv ideas that someone came up with it and then you implemented it.
Certainly.
That doesn't sound like what big companies usually do, because big companies are very resistant to change. Again, what's the company philosophy like when someone comes up to you with an idea, and what's the journey like between someone with an idea and someone executing it?
It's very fast. I can tell you that. We encourage innovation and encourage internal leadership. Right? Somebody with an idea, and we just encourage that, right? For processes or even for the different approaches, we just encourage everybody to have the leadership. And if it fails, and we just do it differently or next time, right? And that's our culture right now. We are a startup. We are not a big company yet, right? We're trying to become a bigger company from the startup mode. Our team is growing and growing. We try to, put up some processes, right? That's very important to organize the team in the right way, so we can focus our all the resources into one direction and get everybody aligned. Have focus and prioritize everything, right? That's important. But at the same time, for any ideas, we just encourage new things. And that's our internal culture.
Now, speaking about One Labs and working in a one single direction, One Labs have been talking to you have been talking to a lot of people, looking at projects coming through your doors. What is One Labs' agenda?
Well, it's really trying to build the ecosystem, right? We follow the Ethereum's footsteps, right? Once you have the platform, we need to have users, and you need to have applications, right? And then in order to build the ecosystem, we need to bring projects into the ecosystem, right? And the One Lab just came into mind immediately, right? So we'll help other projects to to get all the resources that they need, right? We will connect with all kinds of resources like PR, marketing, or legal, and also technical support for all these projects, including investors in the community, right? Help them to get the funding. That is very important. So when we realize that, so let's do it, right? But at the same time, we are also partnering with other VCs and other incubators. We are signing up the partnership with a lot of incubators around the world, and we'll co-invest and co-incubate a lot of projects.
Yeah, because you can't do everything in-house, right? That sounds crazy, trying to be accelerator, incubator, tech developer, investor all in one. So the idea is really to decentralize that control, getting various partners to come in and help out. And what about the projects that you have seen? So this seems to be a very interesting forecast, I would say, a trend that I see in the market. Like, I noticed last year there's a lot of dApps coming up, then there's all these gaming tokens coming up, then a whole plethora of wallets and exchanges. People are all building very repetitive items. What are some of the more common projects you get walking through your door asking for support for the One Labs?
We are more focused on the financial area, right? A lot of fintech oriented projects came to us, but we're not limited to financial area. We are very open, just like Ethereum. Anybody can build applications on top of that. I can categorize. We have more than 100 projects in the pipeline, right? But I can categorize what kind of projects come to us, right? And in general, a lot of projects, I think they have very similar ideas, right? I just see them over and over and over again in different regions. And even when I attended a pitch event a couple of days ago, I said, well, yeah, I've heard this before, you know. So I would encourage the new projects or entrepreneurs, right, to come up with more unique ideas or in combination with their background or whatever they have been working on, and maybe their existing businesses, right, to have more unique offering, a product offering or a business model offering. That would be better.
Now, when we look at bringing in innovative ideas to the ecosystem, there's always high risk, right? And from your experience, are there any telling signs? Because this is probably people who are watching this, they might be project founders themselves or founders to be with an idea and now looking at this video thinking, hey, I might want to approach One Labs for early stage consultancy first and see whether they can be part of this ecosystem. What are some of the common pitfalls that new project founders don't see while developing a blockchain solution? Very
hard for me to say. I've been an entrepreneur for many years, and I just fall into one pitfall to another, and then realize, oh, I shouldn't do that.
So the idea is actually to not be afraid to try that, make the mistake, build it again, but at least be fast enough to rebuild, because I'm an entrepreneur myself, I'm a serial entrepreneur, and no one ever starts off business being right the first time.
Certainly. And then you learn and learn, and eventually you see, well, that's something that kind of problem I need to solve, right? And I have all the advantages, all the equipment behind my back. I can really solve that problem. And then you start working on it. I think you have better chance of success.
Can you detect passion? Are you a person who can detect passion from someone who comes to talk to you about an idea? And maybe he doesn't have everything in place, but will you buy in on passion alone?
Entrepreneurship is a high risk and a high failure rate, right? Passion, of course, is very, very important. A lot of people, I work with a lot of VCs, they're saying that people with passion, that's a must-have for any startup, right? And that will get you to through all the winter, and you won't change your belief. Changing your whatever you're doing is very, very bad, right? So I think people with passion is, I think, the first thing we are looking at.
I asked that because I kind of suspect that's how Wanchain's hiring process is like. Because I met a lot of the One guys, and everyone is working not because they have to work. They're doing things because they want to do it. That sounds like you hire a whole bunch of entrepreneurs putting that together in one room.
Well, some of them, but we are trying to have different people as well. Some of them are from the corporate world, and especially the engineers. They have this rigorous thinking. That is very important to have that kind of troop behind you, and they will execute and get things done with very, very high quality. That is very important. But at the same time, when we're trying to build the ecosystem, when trying to build the applications on top of that, we need to have all the creative ideas. Right? That's why we want to rely on the community. Right now, we're trying to set up a developers community, right? Okay. And we encourage the whole developers community to come up with all kinds of ideas, crazy ideas, build applications on Wanchain.
Yeah. Now let's get this on to just, it's a very nice segue to the topic that you're talking about. Yeah. What's up with Wanchain? What's coming up with Wanchain? So you have already completed the Ethereum crossover to Bitcoin ahead of schedule. What's next?
Well, certainly we are focusing on delivering whatever we promise on our white paper, right? At 3.0, we released the alpha version. It's for developers, right? We know that for any software to release, it takes a long time to have, complete all the testing, right? Yeah. And internally we have test team and the developers that continue to do the testing. Yeah. But we want to rely on the developers, the community to test it as well, right? Yeah. Different people have always come from different perspectives, right? So we in the next few days we'll release the beta version, which has the GUI version. Basically, everybody can test it, right? Not only just the developers. So, and then after a month or so, then we release to production. So, once we have this, Bitcoin and Ethereum, now we are thinking, well, we need to move more coins, like ERC20 tokens or ERC 721 non-fungible tokens, whether we can move them into Wanchain, right? And a separate team is working on that, and we almost get that ready. And we want the community to help us to identify which token from Ethereum into Wanchain. And we're trying to push out a new concept for the community. Well, so we're trying to create something called cross-chain dApps, right? So so that some of the applications on Ethereum, they can expand their community. They don't have to get rid of the tokens on Ethereum. They can create a bridge and have some of the tokens migrated on Wanchain, and let the Wanchain community to access the app, and or with the same front end, with the same wallet or app, they can access both community. And with very simple switch over, right? And in the future, we'll expand that into other chains as well, once we connect with other chains, right? And then at the same time, we want the community to participate in decision making. And well, after Bitcoin and Ethereum, what else, right? We have so many coins, top coins, now we need to pick them. I think once we complete with these biggest economies, the technology was very, very similar. We have proven to the world. So our approach is very unique and at the same time very simple to implement. We want to bring all these other top coins or top communities into Wanchain, the whole ecosystem. And once we integrate with another big ecosystem, we really just expand ourselves a lot bigger. Now we really need to focus on the application level, right? We want to let everybody to accept this cross-chain dApps, right? Maybe you guys all can help us how to build this, and we need more troops and to help us to build it.
You heard the man himself. We need more troops. Community, this is for you, right? It's not a centralized solution or decision-making process. We want your tips. What's the next coin you want? What's the next popular coin you want? So if you have a huge community out there and you want to see this happening, where cross-chain dApps are being developed, drop you guys a message, leave us a comment, and we'll get back to you guys. Also, with the GUI version that's coming up, we'll leave it in the links below for you guys to download and test it out.
One more thing I will mention is that is also very exciting. We're preparing for next biggest release in 2019, which is the enterprise version of Wanchain. We have been working on that for a while, actually for several years now. We already have several implementation with the Wanchain enterprise version, but that's our 4.0. We'll have the cross-chain capability between Wanchain and also the enterprise world. right?
Okay. All the business worlds and the corporation.
Yeah, that is very, very important, because we all hear about the security tokens and all of that, and also fiat-related stable coins, right? And many of them, the traditional assets, they will be put on the enterprise version of the blockchain. So we want to integrate with that traditional world as well, right? Now we know there's so many stable coins, like recently GUSD or PSD, right? Now we know that it's real, and our vision is become more and more real, and it's closer and closer to whatever we visioned, let's say a couple of years ago. Right? Now really we are also not only building the bridges to the crypto economies, but also building the bridges to the traditional financial world.
It's like working with the banks and everything else.
Well, it doesn't have to be banks, right? Any traditional enterprises, let's say supply chain finance, just one example, right? So Wanchain enterprise version, we call it Wanchain, is actually specified in our white paper. We local area network, right? And we want to implement that and have the cross-chain capability with Wanchain. Right? It is being processed, and we have a separate team working on that, get us prepared, and also we are making partnership like EEA, Ethereum Enterprise Alliance,
just
not long ago.
Yeah, last week, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, now we are working on Hyperledger as well, and many other enterprise oriented.
I like the enterprise solution over one enterprise, because you get all these various companies who are not yet on the blockchain, but sooner or later they will be. And at least this gives them a guiding light to how to get connected to the rest of the ecosystem and communicate, so you don't get any old businesses being left behind. And I think this is a very huge vision, and it was something you already thought of years ago.
Certainly. And it's become true. It's coming.
Everything that you have planned. You're a very meticulous guy.
It's coming.
Jack, I'm going to give you 30 seconds to talk to the community. If there's anything you want to say to them at all, now this is your chance to address them.
Well, as I mentioned, I don't own Wanchain, right? It's totally an open community, right? We want our team, Wanchain team is responsible for delivering the infrastructure in high quality. Now we need the whole community to join us and build more applications on top of that, right? And we love to work with any projects. If you want to integrate with us, you can come to us. And if you're a totally new project, right, that's fine too. And just work with us. If you have a public chain, fine, we can integrate with you guys. If you're a dApp, come to us, and then we can build a cross-chain dApp for you.
Wow. Well, thank you very much, Jack, for coming on the show. It's always a pleasure talking to you and exchanging all these great ideas.
Thank you so much.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you have heard it from Jack himself. This is Eugene Tay from Rock to Block Live, signing out.